They should be with us. Should be good now. All right, let's jump in. What's the latest? How's the moon ride going? I hear the toilet shit the bed. Yeah, figure that one out. I don't know. We'll get to that. Okay. Oh, well, some good news. Very good news. FBI on the ground in California arresting hospice fraudsters. Thank goodness. Took you guys long enough.
William Lajeunesse has more from Covina, California. That's just east of L.A. You've been on this story for a while. What happened?
Good morning, Dana. Yeah, this is the first takedown for the new White House Fraud Task Force. They arrested 2 owners of 2 hospices here in greater Los Angeles. They're accused of collectively stealing about $16 million from taxpayers. And this money was intended, right, for compassionate end-of-life care for the terminally ill. Here's some video we shot earlier today of the FBI making those arrests of a husband and wife. He a doctor, she a nurse, co-owners of the St. Francis Palliative Care Hospice in Glendale. And what they were doing was this: admitting people who were not qualified for hospice, but billed the government as if they were. About $30,000 per patient. When the benefits ran out, they dropped them. Here's the kicker. Nationally, 80% of adults admitted, or people admitted to hospice, die, and usually in the first few weeks. Here, almost nobody died. After 8 months, 97% left alive.
They've been bilking the taxpayers for over $7 million, close to $8 million, and it's all total fraudulent hospice services. They were signing up people who are not terminally ill. They were forging the documents, the medical records, and they were collecting taxpayer dollars. And they've been charged, and this morning they were arrested.
Here's another arrest down in Topanga Hospice, and here they were paying kickbacks to the patients, giving them $600 a month in an envelope. That's because they were getting reimbursed from the feds about $6,000 a month. Now, they are also paying marketers to find seniors and take their Medicare card. They bilked the government for about $8 million, not eligible, and they were not terminally ill.
The name of this endeavor is Project Never Say Die.
It's so nuts.
Die, because the folks,
Never say die.
folks who are in the nursing, in the hospice facilities owned by this couple and their family don't seem to ever pass away.
So
Yeah, odd that. Gotta pop you guys out on chat here. There we go. Okay. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. Yeah, we did that. Naked burglar. This is local to me. Yes, we have a naked burglar.
It happened this morning just after 5 a.m. in the 14800 block of Palmerston.
His skin is of questionable color. I can't tell.
Square in
I can't tell what he is.
Centerville. In this new surveillance video, you
Other than a streaker.
can see the man, now described as about 6'1" to 6'3" feet tall with a skinny build. You can see him look inside this house and attempt to open the door, but when he couldn't, he ran toward a wooded area.
As far as gratification and his intent on these type of crimes, and we've worked very closely with our detectives with the sex crimes to see if there's any commonalities between individuals they've worked with in the past, and certainly our end goal is to make sure it does not exceed beyond what we've seen so far.
Police say he's wanted for 4 burglaries. In at least 2 of the previous burglaries, victims say they saw him fully naked. They happened on March 5th on Bodley Square, March 6th on Leicester Court, March 7th on Ealing Court, and March 8th on Paddington Lane. Major James Curry says they're using all the resources they have to find this man.
Everything from our drones that were up in this morning searching the areas,
How y'all can't figure that out?
as well as our crime analysts that are working upstairs right now, trying to take this new information and find
I mean, what's he just disappearing off the face of the map?
out who he is.
It happened this morning.
Who knows? Oh yeah, Bondi's out, right? That's the big news. Gone, right? Allegedly begging Trump not to fire her is the talk. Oh, there it is. According to recent reports, Pam Bondi had reportedly begged President Donald Trump not to fire her. Wonder why Ms. Bondi had to be where she was. Wonder what she might have done. Wonder what kind of naughty things she might have done in her time in the position. I don't know. We'll find out.
Bondi. Kaylee, I just got off the phone with President Trump. We have a big scoop. Pam Bondi will soon leave her job as the Attorney General.
I wonder who's going to replace her.
She is going to get a different job within the administration. It doesn't sound like there is any bad blood between her and President Trump, but it does seem like they want her to go and do something else. And in an interim role, she will be replaced by Todd Blanche, who is currently her deputy at the Justice Department. So it doesn't sound like Blanche is being elevated long term to the Attorney General. There might be somebody else that the president wants to go in there, but President Trump soon will announce to the entire world that it is the end of Pam Bondi's time as the Attorney General. He still thinks that she is a great person and that she did a good job, and he still wants her in the fold because she will still be an important part of the administration, he tells me, but no longer as the top law enforcement officer of the United States. That, at least for a little while, is going to be
Nothing else on that? Nope. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let's see. Down the pile we go, guys. Okay. That was in last night. There's this morning. Okay.
And help me do some of the legwork. Okay, so
there are less than 2 weeks to file your taxes. Can AI help you do it? It depends.
tax season is here and I still haven't filed. So I'm going to see if AI can help me do some
Well, you bet it can.
of the legwork.
And then
First,
some.
I'm going to ask ChatGPT to help me estimate my tax refund. I got a similar answer from Claude and Gemini. They all wanted your general income, your filing status, your withholding amounts, where you live, where you work, all of those general tax things. They all wanted your W-2 as well. Now, I want to emphasize something. I did not upload my W-2 because it's a bad idea to share personal identifiable information with these platforms. Think your social security number, your address, those very sensitive pieces of information.
Oh, yeah, because they have such a hard time getting a hold of that shit.
But these platforms
Are you kidding, lady?
can help you answer specific questions.
So I'm a complicated one because I moved states last year, and so I want to see how that's going to impact my tax return.
It told me I needed to file a part-year resident tax
I mean, don't go giving them your social. Don't get me wrong. That's one. You probably shouldn't give them that. But like your address and yeah, they got that.
return for each state I live in.
They got that when you paid them.
And caution me about double taxation, so I avoid paying more than I need to. Now look, AI sites, they can help you prepare your tax returns, but they're not going to actually go file it for you, right? You're still going to have to do all that legwork or go through a third party to do it. But Adobe says that 26% of people are using AI to at least help them prepare their tax returns in 2025. Big warning though, tax experts say to be careful because AI might provide outdated or misleading information, especially because it could pull from websites that have old details. And remember, if the AI is wrong, it's not going to pay. It's going to be you that's on the hook.
Yep.
Okay, so
It is true. Check, check, double check. There are probably tools you can like take the output and like have it go actually double check the work. Me, I'm probably going to be using AI this year for my taxes. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I have more options than most people, I guess, but local stuff. I just got cleaned out though, you guys. Just hey, FYI, if anyone wants to like toss some into the hat for the fund, like, good golly, Virginia, the county taxes just like piled on out of freaking. I had no idea these taxes even existed. They don't tell you this stuff anywhere until, you know, after the fact when they can charge you couple years of interest. So yeah, they dumped like 7 years of like back, you know, absurd retard local taxes for just various nonsense for my business stuff. And it's like it's not so much like year by year. It's like a couple hundred. In a really good year, it'll be 600. It's quite a bit. I mean, especially as far as local taxes go, this place is expensive as hell. But when they hit you with it all at once, so it's one thing. Like I can handle that year by year. If I knew it existed, if I had any idea that I had to pay it, now I do, thank God. But now I've got like 7 years of this bullshit piled up. I gotta pay. It's I gotta pay it. It's just cleaned me out completely. I'm down to zero. So like literally, not kidding. Like at the line. So if anyone wants to do the old thing, feel free. Would certainly appreciate it. I gotta pull the link up. Donorbox.org. I haven't asked in forever, I know. /support-PSB. There we go. Yeah, screw Fairfax, man. Like, I am, especially after this just happened with this, like, and now on top of that, I got like, you know, regular taxes here in 12 days, which I think I'm just going to file an extension at this point, unless, well, we'll see. I might, it kind of depends. We got to see if I might be in the clear, might be like eligible for a return, God willing, because last year sucked so bad. It was like abysmal. I made like nothing other than that one lens sale at the very, very end of the year. That was literally it. So I may actually qualify for a return, but I don't know. We gotta do that this weekend. Gotta figure that out. What a pain. What a freaking pain. So anyway, point being, I don't know. If I'm filing the extension, I don't need the AI right now. But definitely thinking about it, because paying someone else to do it when you have semi-complicated stuff, you know, it's not cheap, and doing it yourself is not fun. It's really, like, really tedious, really freaking tedious. I don't know, man. We'll see. Be nice if the IRS could just go bye-bye. Whoosh. Yeah. Dang, only 50. We got 50 in this month. Oh, we're only 2 days into the month, so that's acceptable. Okay. That's cool. All right, back to the pile. Let's keep moving. Moving. Okay, why are we like all up in the yesterday area? I want to be in the today area. There we go. Ew, ew. The shit, man. It's since we're still kind of on the topic, it's gonna get even worse for me. This is like the last year of semi-normalcy. Now we got Spam Burger, coming in, just chucking taxes all over the place like confetti. Oh, yeah. Yeah, give me a minute. So it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse. It's so bad, in fact, that it makes me want to leave my home state, where I was born and raised. I've spent the vast majority of my life. Otherwise, love it here. Don't want to leave, but
Governor Abigail Spanberger is.
What can you do? All right, that's where we were. 20 hotels in Cali used for birthright citizenship fraud.
Federal agents swooping in this morning to raid what they are calling maternity tourism rings. The ring helps pregnant women, most of them in this area from China, illegally travel to the U.S. to give birth to American babies. NBC4's Hetty Chang has more from Orange County.
Just after sunrise, they are ready to roll. Our cameras are there as dozens of federal investigators storm into the Carlisle apartments in Irvine.
If you come here in the evening, you see all the pregnant women walking around.
Investigators say this building and at least 20 other locations they raided in LA, Orange, and San Bernardino counties double as maternity hotels.
People who come from China to the United States for the sole purpose.
Federal agents swooping in this morning to raid what they are calling maternity tourism rings. The ring helps pregnant women.
Swalwell Finances revealed delayed tax payments. Highest spending House members on childcare. Wait, who? Who are the... He is? Him and his wife are the highest spending House members when it comes to childcare. How many kids they got? Can't be that many. And you know what? On second thought, who gives a shit? Who cares? Let's go on to this.
Governor Abigail Spanberger is under some growing pressure to honor ICE detainers. This as her state of Virginia reels from a string of murders tied to illegal immigrants. That includes an illegal immigrant from Guatemala charged with killing his 3-month-old daughter. Another Guatemalan immigrant who entered the country as a getaway is charged with stabbing a man to death. And an illegal immigrant from Sierra Leone with more than 24 prior arrests is charged with fatally stabbing a woman at a bus stop. Paul Morrow is here with us now. Here's what she said on February 4th, just after she got inaugurated, about ICE.
On the first day in office, I repealed and pulled back from what had been my predecessor's Executive Order 47, which mandated the work of Virginia state law enforcement agencies with ICE, taking Virginia law enforcement state agency personnel and basically giving them over to ICE is something that ends today.
Yeah. And so I feel about that. Weekly jobless claims better than expected. February U.S. trade balance better than expected.
More good news on the jobs market, Maria. We had coming in for initial claims 202,000. That is better than the expectations of 212,000. Continuing 1.841 million, just a slight tick higher. We also got the U.S. trade balance for February better than expected, negative 57.3 billion. We're looking for negative 61 billion. The ADP came in better than expected, Maria, yesterday at 62,000. That estimate was only for 40. Annual pay.
White collar pains, blue collar gains, baby.
4.5% higher, guys. So all of this as we go for the jobs report tomorrow, 60,000.
Oh, they're losing. They're losing them big time, but we're gaining them.
This is the estimate for non-farm payrolls for the jobs report tomorrow, Maria. But again, better than expected numbers.
On top of good numbers on retail sales, yes. More good.
Just saw Oracle cut like 20K pointless white collar tar jobs the other day. Bye bye. Meanwhile, factories being built, so I mean, eventually that will be offset too by robotics and the like, but that's a different story. That's a different game. Trump planning to fully fund ICE and CBP support staff, filling the gap left by Thune and Schumer bill until reconciliation passes by June 1st. Getting it paid.
And he indicated that on Truth Social. But I just want to go back to your question you asked me in the 7 a.m. hour, Kayleigh, which is what about the fact that the Senate bill in page 2, section 4 specifically says zero funding for the civilian workforce of ICE and BP. We're told that the White House could take additional action to fund temporarily in the interim until reconciliation fully funds DHS. We may see that later today. Kayleigh?
Once again, President Trump swooping in to save the day. Thank you so much.
Senate bill, and he indicated that on Truth Social. But I just want to go back to your question you asked me in the 7 a.m. hour.
Okay, Thune says ICE and CBP are funded.
Out there, this is the best option. And honestly, the one thing I would take issue with, and that is that ICE and CBP aren't funded. They are funded because of the foresight that we had last summer. The president, working with Republicans in Congress, pre-funded ICE, and ICE and CBP are both funded till the end of the fiscal year. ICE well beyond that for multiple years. But the other agencies that are covered by DHS, whether that's TSA or Coast Guard or CISA or FEMA, those are all agencies that currently aren't funded. So we had to get funding to open those up because the Democrats shut down funding for the entire Department of Homeland Security because they didn't want to fund law enforcement. They now own the moniker. They are the party of open borders, anti-law enforcement, defund the police. That is the position they have taken. Notwithstanding that, those agencies are funded because of the work we did last summer and will be funded in the future because of the decision we made to move a budget reconciliation bill that will provide funding for those law enforcement agencies well into the future. So this is the plan to move forward. It is a way that takes care of everybody today and into the future, and exposes the Democrats for what they are, which is the party of anti-law enforcement.
Is the White House?
Well, I can't hear a damn thing while that sync's running, so I have no clue what he just said. But we'll take it. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says it's time to go around Chuck Schumer and pass more ICE and CBP funding without Democrat votes. Right?
Well, I never speak for the White House or for my colleagues in the House. I try and just focus on our work here in the Senate, Dana, but there have been lots of conversations that have gone on the last few days. I've been in touch, spoken with the White House and with the Speaker multiple times, and I think what everybody realizes that, you know, we have to do this now without Democrat votes, and the way to do that, obviously, is to do it through the budget reconciliation, but because everything is funded until the end of the fiscal year, all that does is make sure that in future years, those agencies also have funding. So it's a it's a complicated, as you point out, process, and certainly in the Senate where we have procedures that require super majorities, you have to have some Democrats, and in this case, the Democrats, after we negotiated with them for 40 days on reforms, made it very clear they didn't really want reforms, and as Bill pointed out in the lead up to this, they got zero of that. So they wanted all these restrictions on law enforcement agencies, on ICE and CBP. They got none of that. They walked away from the table, and it was clear at the beginning that they didn't want to do anything to fund either one of these agencies because that is what their left-wing base is demanding. They are a party now, a party of open borders and defund law enforcement.
Schumer.
Thank God, I can hear myself think again. Okay. Thune says he did not cave to Chuck Schumer, and the GOP is about to surge ICE and CBP funding when, like, in 6 months, or
open borders and
you got to give us some like actual timescales here, Mr. Thune, because about to in your world seems very different from about to in mine.
Fund law enforcement.
Schumer said you caved. Did you?
No, we didn't cave. I mean, ultimately, what the Democrats did, you can say this was all about for 40 days, and I was a part of a lot of those meetings for 40 days. It was all about, quote, reforms, restrictions on ICE and on CBP agents and what they could or couldn't do. They got none of that. They got zero of the reforms that they were advocating for. In the end, this was all about their left-wing base demanding that no funding be provided. The good news for us is we saw this coming, and we pre-funded this last summer.
Okay.
So ICE and CBP are funded and will be funded at the end of the fiscal year, and then we'll plus up and add to those accounts to make sure they're funded in future years.
Let me ask you to squeeze.
A party of open borders and defund.
Trump will officially sign an executive order to pay all DHS, ICE, and CBP employees. Yep. Tina Peters' conviction was upheld. Yeah. Unfortunate, but them's the breaks. Big case. Pete Ducey, they just reported on Outnumbered. Pam Bondi, yep, will soon be moved to another job in the administration. What, like Christie? Todd Blanche will be elevated to AG in an interim role, but that's just for the time being. Someone else is coming. There's the farewell post. She will be transitioning to a much needed and important new job in the private sector, huh? Very lucrative. Be announced at a date in the near future, and Todd Blanche will step in to serve as acting. What? Florida Vice Mayor and rising Democratic star found dead. Husband arrested? Like gay husband or like normal husband? Normal husband. Okay. Just checking. She was 38 years old, found dead at her home around 10 a.m. after an investigation into her well-being. Being investigated as a domestic violence incident. Oh. They're Haitian. Aha. Ukrainian officials were caught laundering hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars. American taxpayer dollars. Our dollars.
You broke this incredible story about NSA intercepts showing Ukrainian officials basically discussing a plot to funnel back millions in
to elect Joe Biden.
American aid money back to the Biden 2024 campaign through, none other than USAID. I mean, really, I guess it shouldn't surprise us anymore, but it should shock us. Can you walk us through it and, what else we need to know?
Yeah, let's give everybody a little quick history lesson because the context of this is important. Yeah. In 2016, we know that the Ukrainian embassy in the United States was advocating for Hillary Clinton's campaign. The ambassador here even wrote an op-ed doing so. Yeah. In the period before that, they were enriching the Ukrainian gas company Burisma was enriching Joe Biden's son Hunter. So Ukrainians generally have had a leftward lurch in their support in the American political system, sometimes very overtly, like putting Hunter Biden on the board of Burisma, or their ambassador writing an op-ed saying they would prefer Hillary Clinton over Donald Trump in 2016. Then we get through the whole impeachment scandal. We're told, don't believe any of that Ukrainian liberal preference. Turns out it was all true. It wasn't a conspiracy theory. Hunter Biden and the Democratic Party were deeply entangled with the Ukrainian government, the Ukrainian businesses. And we lived through that. Joe Biden's in the White House. And in 2022 and early 23, his fundraising is lagging, even though he's the incumbent. He's got the problems with the Afghanistan withdrawal, questions about his mental acuity, enormous unpopularity, particularly when it comes to an open border. And so it's at that moment when NSA guys with headphones on are listening, and they intercept a series of conversations. Some of these are probably on email. And it's a senior government official in the Ukrainian government of President Zelensky talking about a plot that has been discussed with USAID workers, our foreign aid agency workers in Kiev, to give a $200-300 million clean energy grant to Ukraine. Now, Ukraine's in the middle of a war with Russia. The last thing they're going to be building is some clean energy project. They're trying to...
They're not building solar panels and you're getting bombed every day. It's probably not great use of a panel.
A complete ruse. And they even say so. Listen, the Intercept suggests that this is not going to be a justified project, but you'll spend the money, and then by the time they discover it, it won't be recoverable. And the goal is take that money, then you're going to give it to non-governmental organizations, nonprofits, then they're going to hire subcontractors with the USAID money, and then those subcontractors are going to hire American companies, and those American companies are then going to move the money into the coffers of Joe Biden's 2024 campaign and the Democratic National Committee. And they said they hope to arrange this in such a way that 90% of the money that originally came from you and I, taxpayers, through USAID to Ukraine would ultimately be laundered into the DNC and Joe Biden to help his 2024 campaign. That's what's been captured. Now, that was only recently discovered. That intercept or series of intercepts were not ever brought to the attention of anyone at the FBI or anyone during the Biden years. Tulsi Gabbard just recently found it. She's asked USAID to go look and see if they can find the contract. Did it happen? Was there some fraud involved? And so there's a beginning of an investigation to find out whether what was discussed ultimately transpired, and we should know answers in a couple of weeks.
I mean, do we trust...
A lot of interesting threads converging on 2020. Slowly but surely. Piece by piece. Passengers on an American flight from Atlanta to Puerto Rico captured one of the closest videos of the Artemis II launch from their plane. That's freaking sick. What? It's so cool. What? What timing?
Oh my God. Oh wow. What the hell? Jesus bless us. Why are we doing a rocket?
Wow.
Watch out for the It's right here.
That thing's moving, man. What a cool perspective. Okay, Trump posts destructive footage of the biggest bridge in Iran crashing down, never to be used again. What? Oh, whoa. Yeah. Bye-bye. There it goes. That is a boo-boo. All right, anyway, holy crap, California has reportedly lost at least $180 billion to fraud.
Totaled at least $180 billion. California Governor Newsom responded to that report saying it relies on, quote, guesses. Newsom says California has been a leader on combating fraud. Chris Rufo joins us now. Chris, what's your response to Newsom's response?
Yeah, well, you know, Gavin Newsom is definitely becoming associated with the word fraud, but it's not for fighting it, it's for enabling it. And look, even under the most conservative estimates, experts from Harvard, from the Department of Health and Human Services, from LexisNexis Fraud Division have told us that the fraud in California is unprecedented. It represents the largest financial crime in American history, and scammers have been stealing billions of dollars per year. Some estimates say as high as $50 or $60 billion a year from the state of California, from federal taxpayers who actually send money to the state. And so, look, this reputation is catching up with the governor. He's going to try to run away from it, but the facts are not on his side.
So what's the most egregious example of fraud that you found?
Sure. Well, really, Medi-Cal is the 100-pound fraud within the system. And HHS officials told me that they estimate that the state of California is now losing up to $50 billion a year to fraud. And what I've noticed in the reporting is that it seems like every criminal enterprise from around the world has looked at California as a vulnerability. They're seizing.
Oh. Easy pickings, man.
In our reporting, we show that neo-Nazi prison gangs, Romanian fraud scammers, death row inmates, and foreign fraud gangs have all been ripping off the state of California to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars, and we're just looking at the tip of the iceberg.
You know, the buck stops with the governor, clearly, but how many people are dropping the ball on this? Because if it's that easy to steal money, there's got to be a lot of failures along the chain.
Yeah, well, what's happened is that essentially California is operating many of its public programs, in essence, on the honor system. There's very little oversight. During the pandemic, when California was distributing tens of billions of dollars in unemployment insurance, there were only 2 state employees in charge of guarding against fraud for the entire system. And even worse, some of those employees that were in charge of guarding various programs were committing fraud themselves. We've seen this through criminal indictments, and it goes all the way to the top. It's outrageous.
Yep.
And that's a good place to leave it. Outrageous.
Far from the only place it's happening either. Every dang state in the union. Guarantee you. But they're one of the worst and the biggest. 3 illegal immigrants and MS-13 gang members charged in connection with 11 brutal murders.
The notorious street gang MS-13. There's a high-profile federal trial going on right now here in Las Vegas. 3 MS-13 members are on trial here, accused of 11 killings in Nevada and California. Prosecutors say these gang members went out hunting for people to kill. This is a sketch from the Review Journal of those 3 members. At least some of them. We're showing them one by one here. We're told that one of the victims died after allegedly being stabbed, get this, more than 200 times. The notorious street gang MS-13.
How is that even physically possible?
There's a high-profile federal trial going on right now here in Las Vegas. Vegas. 3 MS-13 members are on trial here.
200 plus times? What's even left at that point? Just like ground beef? Hey, David Crockett.
Born on a mountaintop in Tennessee.
It's a cool place. So what's the deal with Crockett, though? Davy Crockett, Trump says, obviously a distant relative of Jasmine Crockett and a very high IQ frontiersman would be proud of the legacy that he began long ago. All right. Trump appointee-led commission approves White House ballroom plans. I think we're all more interested in what's underneath. Just a little bit. Hyundai announced it'll invest $26 billion in the U.S. over the next 2 years. In 2 years, wow. Not bad. 25,000 new direct jobs. How about that?
We've invested well over $20 billion.
Blue collar, man. Oracle axes 20K overnight. 25K get brought in. Work in a factory. High paying, too.
Here since 1986 to make this possible. We're doubling down, expanding our expectations and our operations and bringing more products to the U.S. That's why we are investing an additional $26 billion here through 2028. This will create 25,000 new direct jobs on top of the 570,000 jobs that Hyundai Motor Group currently supports here. Later this year, we'll begin building a brand new state-of-the-art low-carbon steel mill in Louisiana. We've also announced plans for new robotics facilities. Plus, we are expanding U.S. vehicle production. 80% of the models sold here will be produced here by 2030. We've invested well.
Wow. Okay.
Over $20 billion here since 1986 to make this possible. We're doubling down, expanding our expectations and our operations and bringing more products to the U.S. That's why
direct result of the admin's actions right there.
We are investing an additional $26 billion here through 2028. This will create 25,000 new direct jobs on top of the 570,000 jobs that Hyundai Motor Group currently supports here. Later this
Not bad. All right. RFK Jr. just announced the systematic targeting of microplastics nationwide. All right. Boy, that's hard to listen to.
Don't understand. So today, HHS, the Department of DC Jackson here, alongside EPA, is taking direct action. We are launching STOP, which stands for Systematic Targeting of Microplastics. It's a $144 million national program to measure, understand, and to remove microplastics from the human body. We are focusing on 3 questions. What is in the body, what's causing the harm, and how do we remove it? And we're answering them in that order. We can't.
J.D. Vance to visit Hungary ahead of contentious election. When is that happening? April 7th and 8th. Election set for the 12th. Polling has shown a close race that could see Orban lose power, or his party lose power anyway. AI pushes 2026 tech layoffs past 50,000 in just 3 months. Employers reveal. Yep. Oracle. Jack Dorsey's company. I forget which one of them it was. It was a Was it Blue Sky or was it Square, or I don't know. I don't remember which one, but those are the two big ones. Oh, Meta too. Planning sweeping layoffs, 20% of its workforce, or about 15K. Amazon, a little bit too. More to come. More where that came from. New press Pentagon access restrictions.
Frankly, I've done 3 tours of the Pentagon. I wasn't able to go into classified areas if that wasn't part of my duties or I wasn't read in on that situation or needed to go there. So they basically had the same restrictions that any other Pentagon employee or official would have.
And that's important when you say Pentagon employee or official as opposed to military employee or official, because if you have an admiral who's not assigned to the Pentagon, an admiral or a general who's down in Norfolk or Fort Bragg, and they come up for a visit, they have to get a day pass. They actually have less freedom to move around the Pentagon than the New York Times did.
That's fascinating. I can speak to that personally. If you're not stationed there when you go there, you're in the military all the way up to admiral. I mean, sometimes I'm sure you get some kind of aid or help, but you still get a pass that says, you know, escort, no escort. So you're treated like a visitor. So the press could apply for credentials and then have free access to the building. Walk us through then, what did you guys propose be the new situation, set of requirements that the press would deal with post Hegseth?
It was the free movement around the building, but then it was also something, you remember this very clearly from last year, the volume of leaks of information that were coming out. Those were the 2 main concerns that we wanted to very specifically address, because large amount of illegal leaks coming out and then this free roaming. And so, you know, we tried to, you know, restrict where within the building they could roam to keep them to certain areas so that, you know, they couldn't, you know, literally camp out right outside the secretary's office. And then we tried putting in regulations that would allow for safety evaluations. And so if somebody presented a safety or security risk, then that was something that we could use to deny or to revoke a press pass.
They've really locked down federal building access quite a bit. Based on what I've experienced myself. Give me a second. Okay. Yeah, they've really gone to town with that. Gotten security really locked down, which is a good thing these days. They are not messing around. Human remains found in suitcases, police say. Oh, where dat?
Human remains found in
Brevard County, Florida.
Inside the area known as the compound in Palm Bay this past Saturday.
Yeah.
According to police, officers visited the site after someone called in saying they saw a suitcase with vultures flying around it. They found another suitcase nearby, both containing human remains. Police believe those remains may belong to 28-year-old Collie Lee Daniel, a registered sex offender. He was reported missing on March 21st, according to the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, after he visited a friend's house the day before and never came back home. Inside the suitcases, officers say they also found an Amazon package and personal belongings, all addressed to 19-year-old Lucas Jones. When police arrived with a search warrant at Jones's home on Watson Drive in Indy Atlantic, they found visible healed wounds and bruises on his left shoulder and the right side of his neck. Police say they located bloodstains inside Jones's home, as well as a kitchen knife that resembles one they found in one of the suitcases. While police say Jones would not talk, his girlfriend did. She told officers she saw Daniel, the missing man, either lying asleep or unconscious on Jones's bed on March 20th. She also told investigators that the next day, Jones instructed her to drive to the compound, and she watched him discard 2 tote containers in separate locations. She says she did not know what was inside the tote containers or suitcases. Jones is charged with transporting a human body in an unauthorized container, abuse of a dead body, and tampering with evidence.
A moment of
ew. Gross.
Rage machine?
Mr.
Americans have had
Padilla.
enough.
Alex Padilla. Once Trump nominates an AG, the nominee will first face the Senate Judiciary Committee, which includes radical open border advocates like Alex Padilla. Yep. Not going to be a fun process.
And his outrage machine, Americans have had enough. They're sick of masked agents disrespecting daycares, schools, and churches,
my goodness,
disappearing loved ones, and intimidating our communities. Americans are demanding that we do something. So, Mr. Chairman, it's clear to me that this hearing will not be a serious or constructive conversation, and for that reason, I refuse to give oxygen to the fire of disinformation and propaganda that this hearing was set up to ignite, and I refuse to be part of this charade.
I gotta go hit the restroom. Be right back. While, Crazy James Carville rants for a minute.
Listen to me, Trump. I'm going to tell you fat fucking ass something. You're getting ready to get the living crap kicked out of you.
Oh,
you don't know
okay.
Because they haven't really told you. And let me tell you something. They're gonna start breaking the news to you kind of gently, and you're going to sit there and wonder what it feels like to be punched in the mouth by Mike Tyson. But you won't know, because it's quite one thing to imagine what it's like to get punched in the mouth by Mike Tyson. It's another thing to actually get punched in the mouth by Mike Tyson. And that's what's going to happen to you in November. Now, let's talk about your future, your post-November future. First, people are not going to return your phone calls. They're going to correctly think yesterday. They'll say, well, he's got 2 years left. He can do damage. No one gives a shit about him. The Democrats are going to investigate you to no end. I would like to introduce you to Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, D. Rhode Island, because it is a lot of people's view. By the way, and Congressman Jeffers and Senator Schumer, they're going to go down to the White House on November 10th, and then you're going to have some stiff photo of them sitting there talking about collegiality and cooperation. Believe that bullshit. Then they're going to start going after you. Then they're going to start figuring out where all the money stolen is. Then they're going to go after you stupid jackass kids and their spouses and all the other bullshit that you see. And they're going to investigate the shit out of you. And then when it comes to this stuff you're doing in Iran, I got to tell you, you're getting really, really, really close to war crimes here. You're probably going to cross the line. And the one thing that Democrats are going to insist on in the 2028 election is that if you're indicted by the international courts, and I think it's in The Hague or Hague or somewhere in the Netherlands, we're going to protect your ass. We're not going to protect you. Understand that.
All right. And members of Congress. Oh, shouldn't be getting paid during a shutdown, you wouldn't think.
What do you make of Democrats finally admitting that it is their shutdown? We should point out the Senate needs 7 Democrats to get to 60 votes to fund DHS. We also have this news. President Trump, the GOP, reached a deal to end the shutdown of the DHS to fund ICE separately and the CBP. What do you make of all this?
Well, it's what I've been saying for days. We know the Democrats want open borders. We know they don't want the country to be safe, as bizarre as that is. We understand that. But it is our responsibility now, Liz. We are in the majority. We have to get the job done. Frankly, I think we should assign the Senate bill, which is what we're going to do now, pass that bill, and then do a separate reconciliation for ICE to make sure that they can continue to do their work. They're well funded now. But the problem is, and a lot of folks forget this, the Coast Guard civilians are not funded, and these folks have gone for well over a month without pay. FEMA is not funded, other parts of Homeland Security. We should not go home. We shouldn't have gone home until we get this done. And I'm going to say this last thing, and I've said it before for the last few days. If we passed a law, which I think we should do, it won't happen, by the way, Liz, but if we passed a law and we said that no Congressman congressmen would get their pay during a shutdown, and they can't get their back pay. They've lost it forever. Guess what? Shutdowns would be done. They'd be over. They wouldn't occur anymore.
Chaos on tap. Oh, man stole a beer truck? Not bad. Led deputies on a chase. Little joyride. Hey, buddy, whoa. What happened to all that beer, man? Yikes. Hands! Come on, let me see the driver. Let me see him.
Load your hands to the side.
I want to see him.
Put your hands out to the side. Stay right there. Don't move. Stay right there. Don't move.
Oh, come on, let us see the guy.
I got him. I got him.
I want to see what kind of man
Move, man.
just had enough and went and took himself a beer truck. I guess we don't get to find out. Oh well, too bad. Greg Steube, Congressman, demands Rep. Ilhan Omar be charged and deported.
You know, what do you think should happen to Ilhan Omar?
That'd be nice.
Given these revelations from the White House.
Well, if the evidence shows that she committed fraud to become a citizen of our country, she should be deported and charged with a crime. It's pretty basic stuff. I don't know why this hasn't been sent to the DOJ. I would imagine she's not the only one in Minneapolis that have committed immigration fraud to get citizenship in our country, and anybody that has committed an immigration fraud to become a citizen of our country should be charged with a crime and then deported. It's pretty simple. I don't know if there's a statute of limitations on those type of crimes, but there shouldn't be. And if there is, that's something that I would love to look into and try to pass a bill in Congress. It has no statute of limitations, because if you committed fraud to become a citizen of our country or to get a visa to come into our country, then you should be held accountable for that and be deported. So hopefully they're going to, whatever information they have, they send that to the DOJ, and AG Bondi is going to take some action on it, because the American people are sick and tired of being taken advantage of. They're sick and tired of the fraud that is rampant, not just in immigration fraud, but you're seeing it with all of this social welfare programming in Minneapolis. You're seeing it in California as it relates to all these different social welfare programs that we are footing the bill for, that are going to people that don't deserve it, that aren't even here legally into our country. So I hope that the DOJ takes whatever evidence it is and moves forward with it.
Especially conservative.
What is this idiot still doing around?
Because there's nothing they love more than to tear down their own and figure out a reason why, even if they have to make it.
Gee, does anyone ever put it to you that maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's you?
Up. And it's sort of part of the culture, right? It's like, let's go rhino hunting, you know, the Democrats.
Right, Dan, it's everyone else. It's everyone else. It's not you. It's all them.
Democrats don't have a term like that, but the Republicans do. That's been going on for years and years and years. And it's been, I think the source of a lot of it is to Senator Cruz.
I was about to ask about his.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah, I mean, that's been obvious.
Who's the slut?
To me for years and years and years. That's been obvious to me. He just finally pulled his mask off. Maybe he'll look better now. But like... Why did you laugh? That was so mean. Are you saying he doesn't? Anyway, you laughed. I didn't laugh.
OMG, Dan, you are so, like, funny.
You laughed. I was getting hold it together. There's no beef. He's just. I don't know if Cruz has any friends. You know, I mean, like the only obvious reasoning is like. He always viewed me as a threat, like a primary threat at some point.
There's kind of been like a weird tension there since he got here.
Enough so where like back in early 2020.
Yo, shut your legs, girl.
I felt the need to talk to him and say, Senator, I will never primary you. Just so you know, never going to do it. Like, just, I know. I just want you to know that. No, I didn't say anything else. Didn't say what I knew about all his, because there was always somebody close to him, just oddly, just.
What is even happening here?
Just betraying me for no reason, you know, like Michael Berry, a radio host who's.
Oh yeah, for no reason.
Just this drunken, like cheating loser, who like, but he did get me elected my first term, you know, and so, but he, you know, and then he got mad at me because I wasn't paying enough ad money on his radio station back in the.
Yeah, I'm sure that was it. Yeah.
Election in 2020.
That was all it was.
Sure enough, you know, right after that, he starts going crazy on me, and so it's all.
Yeah, I'm sure you had no part in it.
Money with these guys.
He just, you know, just no reason.
And,
just people just do this around you all the time. Just have terrible luck with people, I guess.
But it's death by 1,000 cuts, and so yeah, a lot of it starts with Cruz donors, like this Robert Marling guy who was supporting a Cruz-backed candidate against Morgan Luttrell in the last election, and their big strategy for that super PAC was just to hire little MAGA influencers like Alex Brusiewicz, ex-Strategy, these losers, and just start this cottage industry of slandering me online, just making crap up if they have to. It didn't matter what it was, and so you know, again, the ties to Cruz are very obvious.
So do you think they boinked before or after the show? During?
States across the country are implementing new congressional maps as Republicans and Democrats try to take control of the House in this fall's midterms. And a high-stakes ballot referendum in Virginia is the next battlefield in this electoral arms race. The redrawn map in Virginia would likely flip the Commonwealth's slim Republican majority in the House as it currently stands to one that would be dominated almost entirely by Democrats. So conservatives in the state are banking on the strategy that put former Governor Glenn Youngkin into office in 2021. Get a big turnout in the rural parts of the state and keep it competitive in the cities. So far, that strategy seems to be working. Analysts say early voting data is trending more favorably for Republicans than it was in last fall's election, when Democrats won the governor's mansion and also took control of the state legislature. All that said, though, this ballot referendum could be meaningless. There are several legal challenges to the redistricting process that are sitting before the Virginia Supreme Court. But the High Court said that they're not going to deliver any judgments on those challenges until after the election is over. Visit WashingtonTimes.com to stay up to date on this story as it gets closer to Election Day. I'm Matt Delaney.
Rude court. Melania Trump facilitates fourth round of family reunifications between Russia and Ukraine. That's cool. Wow. Okay. Iran launches a strike on Oracle's data center in Dubai. So they're actually doing it, huh? Oh boy. Artemis 2 crew now preparing to propulse toward the moon. Activate boosters. Whee! After putting themselves into an even higher orbit around Earth and dealing with broken toilet somewhere in there, I guess. They got 2 wake-up calls today, one of which was to fire the main engine to raise their orbit. Now conducting final checks for tonight's translunar injection.
That will wake-up calls in the past 8 hours. The first one was actually more of a pre-scheduled sleep interruption. They needed to wake up to fire their main engine to raise their orbit. They're now in a very high orbit over the Earth. They're spending the afternoon conducting final checks to make sure their Orion spacecraft is ready for tonight's translunar injection. That's where they're going to fire the main engine for just under 6 minutes to send Orion on a trajectory that will take them past the far side of the moon and use the lunar gravity to boomerang back in the direction of Earth. Earlier, the Artemis 2 crew successfully performed approach and retreat maneuvers using a detached rocket stage as a target. This was to simulate docking with a lunar lander, something future Artemis missions will need to do with the actual thing. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman is watching the mission unfold from the perspective of a private astronaut who conducted the very first commercial spacewalk.
It is far less stressful to be strapped into the rocket than to be responsible for it here on Earth. So I definitely had those feelings quite a bit.
Yeah, but Isaacman says he has great faith in the Artemis teams, both here on Earth and in space. Trace?
Leonidas is a real-life operational force field. Can be used to take out swarms of drones. What?
This is Leonidas, the world's first and only real-life operational force field. And we're about to put it
Oh, that thing, yeah.
to the test to see if it can take out a swarm of drones with a single burst of energy.
Leonidas is a high-power microwave system, or HPM. It emits bursts of electromagnetic energy that interfere with the internal electronics of nearby drones. Unlike kinetic systems, there's no need to track and destroy each target individually. The energy spreads.
That's why those fiber optic operated drones were invented.
Across an area, meaning multiple drones can be neutralized at the same time. As drone swarms become more common, systems like this could be the difference between stopping the threat or being overrun. So any second now, they're about to launch 50 of these drones right here. And if all goes according to plan, Leonidas should take them out with a single burst of electromagnetic energy.
Good copy, Olympus 49 birds at Sparta. Leonidas, please confirm AVT lock.
Wow.
I mean, you gotta admit, that was pretty cool. The threat of drone swarms is only increasing, and seeing a system like Leonidas in action just makes you think how much it will change the fight in the future.
So can I, like, hack up my microwave and turn it into that or something? Please? This is a little science project. Just for fun. DOJ has officially charged, there it is, 8 California hospice and healthcare fraudsters.
You need to understand this
More where
story
that
is
came from.
this. 80% of the people who enter hospice die there, most within 3 weeks. But in the case of these 2 hospices, according to the records, 97% are discharged alive. So this morning, the feds accused these hospice owners of stealing millions from taxpayers intended for the compassionate end-of-life care for the terminally ill. Do you have anything to say about those charges?
I don't know anything.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
I don't know anything.
Have you got anything to say about these accusations? We've been investigating for 4 years. And he had nothing else to say. So the feds took down this couple. He's a doctor, she's a nurse. They enrolled hundreds of patients.
Oh, a doctor and a nurse, huh?
Basically, who are not qualified for hospice, but they billed the federal government as if they did, pocketing about 30 grand per patient. The suspects you see here, along with about a half dozen others, they were booked today for fraud, collectively costing, again, taxpayers about $50 million.
Normally for a hospice, the beneficiary is someone who's terminally ill, and you expect them to not survive very long. But what we see in these hospices is they never die.
The feds also arrested the owner of Topanga Hospice, accusing her of paying people $300 a month to stay enrolled while she pocketed $6 grand a month from taxpayers.
That's disgusting.
This sends a very loud message to all the other charlatans and fraudsters and corrupt individuals involved in hospice fraud that you might live in a nice neighborhood now with a beautiful house and great cars and wonderful vacations, but the clock's ticking.
Hegseth ousts Army Chief of Staff General Randy George. Asked him to step down and take immediate retirement. We wish him well in his retirement. Time for leadership change in the Army. Must have been something.
What if
not only prosecuting smugglers and traffickers, but suing sanctuary cities and taking action against agitators that have assaulted ICE agents. So I've got a close relationship with both. I wish Pam Bondi the best, and I think Todd Blanche will step up and won't skip a beat. I think they'll keep that train on the track. We'll keep moving forward.
Although
your specific responsibilities don't fall under the DOJ, Tom. As you mentioned, you work hand in hand, specifically on immigration. What, if any, changes in priorities do you expect?
Right. Not only prosecuting smugglers and traffickers, but I mean, the president's already set the priorities of immigration enforcement. So, we're going. First of all, we got the most secure border in the history of this nation. Well, that provides more resources for interior enforcement operations, which we plan on doing. We're doing it now. And of course, we've been sidelined just a little bit with the airports. The president put me in charge of the airport. I said the airports, and that's worked out very well. But as that ramps down now, we'll put more agents in the field. You're going to see arrests go up. You're going to see more worksite enforcement operations coming. So you're going to see a ramp up in immigration enforcement in this country. That's what the American people voted for, and that's what the President Trump's going to give them.
You bring up an interesting.
I mean, the President's already set the priorities of immigration.
Okay. One moment. Good. All right.
Airport, less people we have. Of course, it's taken away a little bit because the more resources we have in the airport, less people we have in the street. But in the heightened, threatened posture where we've been the last few weeks, it's important we fill those gaps at the airports, right? Because they're a critical infrastructure. We got to protect them. So ICE was there not only filling those security gaps, but doing jobs that TSA officers were doing that didn't require like X-ray training, right? So if we can take an exit lane, if we can check IDs before they get to screening, that puts another well-trained TSA agent on the X-ray machine, maybe open up another line. So it was twofold, right? Moving American people through those airports quicker and providing additional security airports. But look, I'm proud of the men and women of ICE. I went down to Houston myself. I've been at several airports thanking them, and I see the American people talking to them. And I think it's done two things. Number one, it's something I talk about on the Hill in these Senate negotiations, these budget negotiations. They want to talk about masks. Well, they're not wearing masks at airports. Why? Because they're not in that heightened threat environment they have out in the field where agitators cross that line and assault them and dox them. So, they don't want to wear masks either. They're wearing masks out of need, but the airport in that safe environment, they don't need to wear those masks. That proves a point. The ICE officers aren't wearing masks for the fun of it. They're wearing it for their safety of themselves and their families.
That's a very fascinating point. I've seen those ICE officers at the airport. Chicago, New York, Dallas, Washington, all down significant numbers in net migration.
Dang.
That obviously, Tom, has something to do with ICE. It has
Not bad.
Has to do with self-deportation. To what do we attribute these improvements?
President Trump and his vision when he came in, that first of all he wanted to create the most secure border in history of the nation, and we've done that. We beat Trump 45. I mean, Trump 45 was incredible, most secure border then, but we beat that tenfold under Trump 47. And we got to give a lot of credit, Will, to the secure borders, the men and women of the Border Patrol, men and women wearing that uniform. I wore that uniform. I'm proud of each and every one of them for standing up and enforcing law, securing the border. But you got to give credit to ICE too, because the whole world is seeing ICE out there operating, enforcing the immigration law. Unlike the last 4 years under the Biden administration, they know there's no free ride here anymore. They know there's no catch and release. They know that if you happen to get by the Border Patrol, we're looking for you. And so when they see the record numbers of arrests and deportations, they're not willing to give their life savings to criminal cartels to come to the border and not be released in the United States, unlike the last administration. So I give ICE a lot of credit for that secure border too. So God bless the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol. They finally get to do their job, because the last 4 years they couldn't do their job. Morale was in the toilet, and now the men and women are up on the oath they took. And a secure border means better national security, because now we have better control. What's coming in, who's coming in, where it's coming in, why it's coming in.
Okay.
Accused of killing a mother. What is
here in Virginia? Yeah, 2 illegals.
going on in Virginia?
elections. I mean, elections has consequences. I live in Virginia. Spanberger took over, and she moved so far left, she's not even recognizable anymore. Look, in that city, Fairfax, they've been a sanctuary city. I've been complaining about them for years. Sanctuaries are sanctuaries for criminals, and for any politician, like the chief of police or the sheriff, they want to say they're not going to enforce federal immigration law, not their job. They can't honor ICE detainers. They don't think they're legal. We can do the same thing we did in Minneapolis. We can do the same thing. Talk to the sheriffs, talk to the chiefs. Say, you know what, if you don't want to honor detainers, I get it. We can litigate that in court. However, there's nothing illegal about you calling ICE before you release them, and we'll be there to take custody. You don't have to hold them 1 minute past you would normally hold them on your charges. Just give us a call. It's free, and we'll be there. We'll even strategically locate deportation officers near those jails. That's the success we had in Minneapolis. We got record cooperation there. We can do the same thing in Virginia. But I truly believe they hate Trump more than they care about their public safety, because the common sense approach is call us, and we'll be there, and take that public safety threat off the street. We've arrested thousands of public safety threats in Virginia. We had to go out and look for them, which is dangerous for the community, dangerous for the officer, dangerous for the aliens. We won't keep doing it, but it's much safer for the community, much safer for the officer, much safer for the alien, because anything can happen on a street arrest. Give us custody in your jail before you release them, and you can see the crime rate drop significantly.
All right. They certainly need it. They need it.
Okay. Next up, NYPD commissioner shreds jury's decision to acquit cop killer of first-degree murder as Mamdani stands by her side. Oh, Tish.
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon. Before we begin, I want to address yesterday's verdict in the murder of Detective Jonathan Diller. 2 years ago, Jonathan was killed in the line of duty while doing what he had chosen to do, protecting the city. He stepped toward danger without hesitation, and he did it as part of a life that was defined by service. I am deeply disappointed that the top murder charge did not result in a conviction. Based on all of the evidence presented at trial, I am convinced that this was an act of intentional murder. The failure to convict on murder one landed like a gut punch to all members of the NYPD. The defendant was convicted on all other counts, and we expect the sentence in this case to reflect the gravity of what was done and the loss that it caused. Jonathan's life, his service, and his legacy will remain a part of this department, carried forward by the men and women of the NYPD. May his memory continue to be a blessing.
Yeah, okay. Whatever you say, lady. Why? I just don't believe you.
Another.
Know what it is. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has just overturned the rule that banned guns at U.S. military installations for personnel.
Our great republic was founded on a simple yet bold idea. Our rights as citizens are not granted to us by government, but instead by God. 250 years ago, the Revolutionary War was fought to secure our God-given rights. The Second Amendment to our Constitution enshrines the right of all citizens to carry weapons to protect themselves, their families, and their fellow countrymen. The War Department's uniformed service members are trained at the highest and unwavering standards. These warfighters, entrusted with the safety of our nation, are no less entitled to exercise their God-given right to keep and bear arms than any other American. Our warfighters defend the right of others to carry. They should be able to carry themselves. Recent events like what happened at Fort Stewart, Holloman Air Force Base, or Pensacola Naval Air Station have made clear that some threats are closer to home than we would like. In these instances, minutes are a lifetime, and our service members have the courage and training to make those precious short minutes count. Before today, it was virtually impossible. Most people probably don't know this. It was virtually impossible for War Department personnel to get permission to carry and store their own personal weapons aligned with the state laws where we operate our installations. I mean, effectively, our bases across the country were gun-free zones. Unless you're training or unless you are a military policeman, you couldn't bring your own firearm for your own personal protection on to post. Well, that's no longer. The memo I'm signing today directs installation commanders to allow requests for personal protection to carry a privately owned firearm, with the presumption that it is necessary for personal protection. If a request is for some reason denied, the reason for that denial will be in writing and will explain in detail the basis for that direction. Again, the presumption is service members will be able to have their Second Amendment right on post. Not all enemies are foreign, nor are they all outside our borders. Some are domestic. Confirming your God-given right to self-protection is what I'm signing into action today, and I'm proud to do so.
Congressman, appreciate you joining us. Congressman, appreciate you joining us. What is your reaction to this news?
Well, great to be on. You know, this is an agency that is near and dear to my heart as a former assistant United States attorney. It's critical that we have a great leader at the top of the Department of Justice. Obviously, we thank Pam for her service. She's, served the administration for this first 15 months. But the next person who's heading the Department of Justice has got to be aggressive. We have a limited period right now with President Trump in the White House, with House Republicans and Senate Republicans. We have got to be on offense for a justice and accountability. I have people that I represent, J6ers, people that are looking at what are we doing about Antifa and what they're doing radically across this country to endanger us, open borders, the radical Marxist networks. We referred John Brennan to the Department of Justice. The Judiciary Committee did under the leadership of Jim Jordan. We've got so many things we need to be doing and pursuing. Arctic frost. I mean, how many things do we have to see before we see some heads roll and we see some accountability? Everybody I talk to at home in Texas wants to see action on the Epstein files. They want to see action. They want to see prosecutions. And that is, I think, what the most important thing for the new head of the Department of Justice is. We want to see action and accountability.
Okay. Hope Walt says, without evidence, that Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem were both fired because they're women. I think it had a little more to do with the other stuff.
It is no surprise that the high-profile firings in the Trump administration are not Pete Hegseth or Kash Patel, but instead Kristi Noem or Pam Bondi. And I don't even think I need to say why that is, but I will, because that's what this video is about. They're women. They are women, and these mega women think that they're the exception. They think they're different. They think they'll be accepted by these men. But at the end of the day, they're the ones that take the fall, that take the blame, that get fired from their
So it wasn't the husband's balloon breasts?
Jobs for, not doing what the president wants, even though it's everybody, right? Yeah. I don't feel bad for them whatsoever. They knew what they were getting into. But they always assume they're the exception. And you know what? They're not, because they're women at the end of the day. And that is the most important thing to these people. So take this as a learning opportunity, mega women. Don't associate with these people. They will throw you under the bus the second things get tough. At the expense, your expense, and everyone else is going to be just fine, but you will be the one getting fucked over.
Tanker ships must pay Iran's Revolutionary Guards a toll in Chinese yuan or crypto before they can pass the Strait of Hormuz. Crypto. Okay. Nine men, including well-known musical artists, federally charged for kidnapping at a music studio in Dallas? Huh? Weird. Black people stuff. You know. Doing them things. Barry Weiss, perhaps major shakeup of 60 Minutes that could reshuffle top talent. Ooh. Reshuffle them? You're gonna trade one turd for another turd from the other side of the toilet bowl? What good is that gonna do? Well, okay, Barry. You do you. Have fun. Mike Benz explains the European Union is stepping up their mass global censorship under the Digital Services Act, the DSA. Yep. Ahead of elections.
There's really nothing an American company can do to defend itself against millions or billions of dollars of threats from a foreign government. You need your own government to stick up for you. We're at a crossroads right now in an election season across Europe. For example, the EU has activated its rapid response disinformation units under the Digital Censorship Act to basically play favorites in the Hungarian election. And all across Europe this year, as there's a rising tide of MAGA-aligned or populist conservative or right-wing political movements, and the diplomatic response has to be commensurate with the severity of the situation. Elon Musk was fined $140 million for basically not complying with this extortion shakedown. What happens when that fine is $140 billion in the months leading up to the U.S. presidential election in 2028 or ahead of the midterms? I believe that leverage has to be created and a serious diplomatic response has to be initiated so that we can protect the American companies against foreign regulators who are trying to conduct a boomerang attack against our own politics by preventing them from platforming us.
Mm-hmm. Trump does not have to turn over presidential records, Justice Department says. General Randy George retiring, as we heard. Adios. Don't know what you did, but enjoy your retirement. Fox News' Will Cain exposes that several high-profile scientists and... Oh, all the guys going missing. Yeah. Let's hear it.
There's a story that caught our attention. We're talking about a number of U.S. scientists, some connected to very sensitive research, who have died or disappeared. Let's break down what we know so far. We're going to start with Carl Grillmar. Carl Grillmar, pictured here, was an astrophysicist at Caltech. He worked on a NASA-supported space telescope project and infrared systems. Now, he was shot and killed at his home just 2 months ago. Then there's Frank Maywald. He was a senior scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab, focused on advanced satellite systems, and he died nearly 2 years ago, but his cause of death has never been made public. Meanwhile, Monica Reza. Monica Reza also reportedly connected to NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab project. She went missing last summer while hiking in California. No trace. It keeps going. There's William McCaslin, a retired Air Force general. He, too, is missing. He's a former head of Air Force Research Lab and oversaw advanced space and surveillance programs. He's been missing since February. Reports say he once oversaw funding connected to a project that also included Monica Reza. Now, there's more. To New Mexico, Melissa Casais. She has been missing since last summer. She worked at Los Alamos National Lab. She had an administrative role, but reportedly also had security clearances. Just months earlier that she went missing, so too did Anthony Chavez, also connected to Los Alamos, an engineer. He disappeared during a walk. No signs. No answers. And then finally, there's Nuno Loureiro. You remember Nuno Loureiro? He was the MIT researcher focused on nuclear fusion and was shot and killed in his Massachusetts home last December. It was the case of the Brown shooter. It's a separate case with no confirmed links to the others. But here's the key point. Authorities have not connected these cases, but look at the overlap. The same handful of institutions, NASA, Air Force Research, Los Alamos Laboratory. So, could they be connected? Or is this something else entirely?
It's a weird one. Vice Chief of Staff of the Army, General Christopher Leneve, formerly Hegseth's military aide, will be now acting Chief of Staff.
Held up this legislation.
Senator Schumer confirms the Democrats are responsible for blocking TSA funding.
So Democrats just held up this legislation for what? For political posturing, is that right?
Well,
yeah,
that's
basically,
not fair at all.
Yeah, pretty much.
We held it up because we wanted, as I mentioned before, to reform ICE and CPB, which...
So Democrats just held up this legislation for what? For political posturing, is that right?
Yep. Could Kanye be blocked from entering the UK?
This is because this week could Kanye West be blocked from entering the UK? This is something now seriously being discussed.
I mean, probably. They're crazy, so is he. Community in Raleigh, North Carolina in total disbelief after a man who has been arrested for a mind-boggling 38 previous times with over 120 plus charges has just been let out of jail again for carrying a concealed weapon.
Popped him, pulled out the rebar, swung it at him. My husband stepped back, popped him. He fell down. So Bryce fell down. He kicked my husband in the back of the thigh and then got up and took off.
Sheena Timer-Wiggins and others say they have filed police reports and want justice served, as well as help for Bryce Foreman before he hurts anyone else or gets hurt himself on Glenwood South.
And what are the police telling you and your husband after your husband was accosted?
The biggest thing was just that they know about this person.
Yeah, they know and they don't care.
They would be looking out.
Foreman has 38 mugshots.
Looking out for what? The next time he hurts someone?
On record, he's been taken into custody or cited for felonies and misdemeanors over 16 years for communicating threats, breaking into cars, theft, disorderly conduct, intoxication and disruption, trespassing, begging for money, and assault.
I've seen him. He's yelled at me personally. I've been walking my dog and he'll start shouting at me from across the road and kind of running towards you and acting really odd. So yeah, it's a little concerning.
Court records show Foreman's most recent arrest on March 11th involved carrying a concealed weapon.
Yeah, that's nice.
Accused of knocking customers' items off tables and challenging people to fights here on a couple restaurants' patios and decks this past Friday. Many witnesses say they don't understand that with all his run-ins with police, why Foreman walks free.
I wanted to let people know, just to look for him if you're walking down here, if you see him.
91-year-old Jimmy Russell is the longest tenured master distiller in the world, known as the Buddha of Bourbon.
USA to Z, where we bring you stories from across the country to celebrate 250 years of America. This week is K for Kentucky Bourbon, and we're taking a look at its role in U.S. history and its deep roots in American culture. Bourbon is especially meaningful for one family. Skylar Henry visited a distillery in Kentucky where 3 generations of distillers are toasting their legacy.
In the rolling hills of Kentucky's bluegrass region, the spirit of whiskey is as strong as ever.
Pretty cool. Where's the old guy?
Dairy Gray, and our governor likes to say the other 5% is counterfeit.
All the way out here on when he was not
whiskey.
It's the old guy.
Significant decline, in part because of Ford
a little more mellow.
Where's the old guy?
And then you stick it in a full drink.
Oh, I guess it's the company? Jimmy Russell. I'm not a bourbon or anything drinker, really, so no idea. I thought I was going to get to see like a cool old guy distilling bourbon. Feel cheated. Artemis crew got a go for their TLI burn.
Translunar injection burn, TLI, was a go, and that's big news. That means this Artemis 2 mission is headed for the moon, and that burn's going to happen in the next couple of hours, and then sets up about a 4-day trip before sort of the main event of this mission occurs, when the astronauts will do their flyby the moon, and in fact be in a position to see the far side of the moon, perhaps see parts of the moon that no human eyes have ever seen before.
Cool.
and they'll have an opportunity to document it. So think back to the Apollo missions, some of those iconic photos of the moon and the Earth. What kind of iconic images might they be able to capture on this trip that will define the Artemis missions for a generation to come?
And you accurately described it as the main event, the slingshot around the moon. But if you think about it in boxing terms, there's always a really good undercard fight before the main event. And the undercard was this decision today, because this was really central to the future of this mission. If you can't do this, then you're coming back home.
That's right. Now, they did have a little bit of wiggle room. If there was something they didn't like, they could have opted to do another 24-hour orbit around the Earth to try to troubleshoot that and make this decision again tomorrow. So far, it sounds like there are no major issues, no concerns, so they're moving forward. But yeah, Major, this was sort of make or break. If there's no TLI burn, you're not going to the moon, you are coming home.
And what have we heard so far from the crew?
Not a lot. We heard from the mission commander about the ride up, and he said it was pretty incredible. We heard from the pilot after they spent about 90 minutes hand flying the capsule, Orion, for the first time ever in space. He described the sound of the thrusters a bit like being on a bumpy road. It performed as more or less as they expected it to, and he said part of the goal of doing that was to relay back the sensations, the feel, the handling, so they have a better understanding of how it flies and how that compares to the modeling. You know, they've been flying this in a simulator, but had never flown it in space. So this was a big moment. They're going to do some more hand flying later in the mission. And we're going to hear from the astronauts. We're supposed to hear from the astronauts and the crew later tonight, which will be probably the first at-length conversation with the astronauts we've had the pleasure of hearing.
Oh, okay, cool. Very nice. Trump says he has 100% total confidence in DNI Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard, who's doing a great job. Where's
Gabbard or whatever? I always forget.
Tulsi. She took a lot of heat 2 days ago because she went in at Pam's insistence. She went in and she looked at votes that want to be checked out from Georgia. They say, why is she doing it? Right, Pam? Why is she doing it? Because Pam wanted her to do it. And you know why? Because she's smart. And they said, well, this has to do, her position has to do, it's really not so, but her position has to do with international. I say, well, the same people that said that, they've been saying Russia, Russia, Russia has been screwing our elections, okay? So let's assume Russia had something to do with it. They say, no, Russia didn't have. So now they're saying Russia had nothing to do with it. Because if I say Russia, that it's perfectly fine. But you could add China and about 5 other countries to it. But she's done a great job, and Pam has done a fantastic job, and we appreciate it both. Haven't seen you in a couple of days. And I have one of the
Ahead of President Trump's expected meeting with Mark Rutte, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, next week. Former U.S. Ambassador to NATO Kay Hutchinson says it'll be very important for the two leaders to discuss what has to be done to bring everybody back together. Yeah. Okay. Oh, full documentary, The Indian and Muslim Takeover of Texas.
I wanted to come in.
All right, we'll come back to that later, maybe? Or now. Why not? Last thing up.
This is Savannah Hernandez in North Texas. Now,
Let's check it out.
Hearing a lot about the demographic and cultural change up here, and I wanted to come and check it out for myself. Oh.
I'm the only guy,
Like it's like meeting you right now here.
This is Texas. They need to assimilate to our values. If they want to come here, if they don't, then stay home.
We're starting off here, and then We're just going to drive. We're just going to check out the area. Apparently, Frisco has one of the largest growth in Indian populations here in Texas over the last decade. So we kind of just wanted to come check it out because we've been hearing a lot online about how much the Indian population has grown. And I mean, if we even just flip this camera right here, we are coming up on the Indian Bazaar. Somebody almost just backed into us. Frisco apparently has had one of the largest population growths with their Indian population. Back in 2010, it was like 10%. Apparently now it's over 30%. And we are headed to this temple because it's one of the largest in the DFW area. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm kind of shocked seeing this because we are in a residential area. So you're basically driving through, you have these really nice homes, and then boom, out of nowhere, you have this huge, very intricate Hindu temple. I want to say this temple serves thousands of people. They come here to worship this deity called Hanuman. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Hanuman.
But this is a little idea of what Frisco looks like, and even in some of their school districts, Indian children make up the majority of the demographic. So many Texans have been talking about how the population has changed, how the culture is starting to change here in Texas, and we kind of just wanted to come see for ourselves what was up. So I want to go inside the temple actually and see if we can get some footage of what it looks like inside. Maybe we can talk to some people. Let's go. Okay, so I just went inside the temple, and one of the things I immediately noticed was the amount of people that are just walking around barefoot. Again, culturally, just very different. First time I've seen that. You also had piles of shoes in front of this temple, and as I went inside, there were, of course, people worshiping these multiple deities. One of the ones that did stand out to me the most was the people that were circling this one deity, and it was blessings for job visas and work and other things. But yeah, this is in North Texas, obviously very large Indian population here. I actually spoke to two separate couples, and one of them stated that they came in from Colorado, and they specifically came here to come and see this temple because it's one of the largest in the area. And then I was talking to another Indian guy from California who was visiting. He stated that actually the busiest days for this temple are Tuesday and Saturday because that's when a lot of the Indian population will come and they will worship their deities at this temple. North Texas has one of the largest Indian populations in America that in just over a decade has more than doubled from around a little over 100,000 in 2010 to over 235,000 today. Indian Americans now make up roughly 3% of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, with even higher concentrations in suburbs like Frisco, Plano, and Irving, where they represent over 10 to 30% in some communities. Alongside this shift has come a huge change in culture, such as the growing amount of Indian grocery stores and restaurants, Hindu temples, Bollywood film screenings, and Indian festivals such as the Holi Festival, which was our next stop.
All right, y'all, so we are currently in McKinney, Texas. We are at the Holi Festival here. This is the 16th annual Holi Festival that happens every single year. And what this is a spring festival where Indians come and celebrate spring, but also some of their legends, some of their deities. But anyway, we wanted to come and check it out. Can we interview you? What is Holi?
It's a festival of color, actually, and we celebrate in India. And it's normal over here, but in India, it's crazy. I'm telling you.
How long have you lived here in Texas for?
I live in like 5 years almost.
Where are you from?
I'm from India, Mumbai.
Why did you come to Texas?
It's best. Like Texas is best, and I work over here, so that's why I come over here.
Uh-huh.
How is the Indian community over here? Is there a lot of Indians? No.
Indians are good over here. Like, we celebrate a lot of festivals, like every festival, almost everything.
Yeah.
A big Indian community over here?
Oh, yeah, in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
In Frisco, I would say.
He's very big. He's growing.
Frisco, McKinney, Irving, everywhere, I would say. Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Sorry about that.
All right, y'all. So we are here at the Holi Festival, and I was trying to interview a guy, and then this other Indian dude just came and like threw color in my face and threw color in my cameraman's face. So Holi in McKinney, Texas.
So we are in McKinney. We are celebrating the Holi.
Gosh.
Dallas Festival of Holi. How long have you lived in Texas for? 1.5 years. Where are you originally from? I'm from India. Which part?
Oh, I couldn't tell. Yeah.
South India. How do you like Texas? I really like Texas, but I like Hyderabad more than Texas.
Very lovely. Happy Holi, guys!
Oh, that got in my eye. Oh, that was really painful. Okay. I've been splashed with color multiple times. Some of them are getting pretty aggressive with it. They threw the color directly in my eye. They come and they like slam it on your head. It's a pretty aggressive festival, but here we are for Holi. Let's go talk to some people. How long have you been here in Texas?
I've been here since 2016.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from India.
Which part?
Gujarat.
What do you do over here in Texas?
I work in a medical device company.
I'm sorry, in a what?
With it, festival.
I've been here since 2016.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from India.
Which part?
Gujarat.
What do you do over here in Texas?
I work in a medical device company.
A medical device company. What do you want to bet? Top to fucking bottom fraud. What do you want to bet?
These are my friends.
How long have you been here in Texas for?
4 years.
4 years? Where are you from?
I'm from India.
Why do you like Texas?
It is like India.
It's like India?
The weather, the people.
Is there a big Indian community here in Dallas?
Huge community. Like it's like in India right now here.
It makes us feel like home. Whenever we miss India, we celebrate festivals over here.
We celebrate all the festivals from North India to South India and everything in between as well. So
While the Indian community states that Texas...
Ugh. Just go back. Just go away. Just go back.
Texas now feels like home. Many Texans state that their home is no longer
So tired of this.
recognizable due to the rapid cultural change, with many pointing to the state's aggressive business incentives that attracted so many tech companies, alongside the very tech industry utilized H-1B visa program, where Indian nationals have received roughly 70 to 75% of approvals in recent years. This, coupled with workers sponsoring their entire families to join them in the U.S., has led many Texans to highlight a cultural shift that looks nothing like the Texas they remember. Okay, y'all, so we're currently on our way to go meet my friend Sarah Gonzalez. She is a Blaze TV host, and she regularly talks about like a lot of the political issues and demographic change here in Texas. So she's going to kind of discuss how much Texas has really changed because she was born and raised here.
It has been tremendous to see such big changes in such a small amount of time. I'm born and raised native Texan. I lived in Houston until I was about 5. Other than that, I've been living in the DFW area, and just to see, just in the last even 5 years, something happened with COVID where they started gaming the system even more. There were a lot more people who were
Bingo.
working remotely, and they were able to kind of learn the loopholes and how to game the system.
Yep.
And since COVID, there has just been a massive influx. It's totally changing the demographics.
Because the word's getting out that the gravy train is real and it ain't stopping.
Of our communities, which would be fine if these people shared our values, shared our morals, wanted to assimilate.
No, they just want to rape your tax money and everything that you're worth, exploit your country, and then turn it into a living sewer.
Into this country and do things the way that Americans do it. From what I'm seeing, born and raised living here, they don't. And so it's a very, very stark contrast from, you know, the old days. I know that dates me, that makes me sound old, but like really, it's just, it looks nothing like it once did.
Was there always temples like this around the area?
No, actually. Short answer is no. There were not always these, you know, big temples that make you feel like you're in Mumbai, India. That's not a thing that has existed in Texas for forever. This is a relatively new phenomenon. You've got all of these different places of worship that don't feel very American that are just popping up in large metropolitan areas here in the state of Texas. But namely DFW has had a very, very large influx of Hindu temples and, you know, mosques, and it almost feels like when you go to some of these places, it almost feels like you are the minority in your own country. There are people speaking foreign languages very loudly on their speakerphones. There are people who are, you know, obviously doing things that show that they don't care to assimilate into American society, American culture. It really does. It's really sad. It makes you feel like you're a stranger in your own community. I mean, we talk about the issue of assimilation, and I think it can be summed up by an email that I received from someone in Salina, which is a little ways outside of Frisco here in the state of Texas. And she said, I know a girl who is in FFA, Future Farmers of America, and she has a heifer, a cow, and an Indian couple contacted her and said, hey, can you bring your heifer over to my house? And she was like, kind of weird, but I guess sure. So she brought her cow to the house, at which point the Indian man said, can you bring the cow inside? And she was like, okay. So she brought the cow inside, and then I quote, this might be verbatim from the email. She said, the cow then peed and pooped inside the house, and the family was so happy. They were blessed. And it just kind of sums up where we're at.
And do you think this was like a one-off thing, or?
No. She actually also told me that the largest longhorn rancher in that area is constantly contacted for cow dung.
Interesting. But it's not only the Indian population that has been growing in North Texas, and Sarah and I went to go check out a new neighborhood that's been going viral online for showing just how fast the Muslim population is also growing and changing Texas culture. I actually saw this online. What we're seeing right now is Ali Akbar Court, and you and I are driving around this neighborhood. We've got Salma Jamil, and okay, what are we seeing?
It looks like a Muslim community just right here in North Texas. These street signs are wild.
So we're going down Shemsa Lane right now, and like I said, I found this online. Here's Zulaya Lane. I kind of wanted to just come check it out. Okay, this is crazy. This is actually crazy. So I'm glad that we're filming this because, you and I were just driving through here and we were like, it's probably just going to be a couple of interesting street names. But no, it's like every single house, and these are really expensive. They have this Arabic writing on them. They're decorated for Eid.
Happy Ramadan.
Oh, we are in North Texas, by the way. We're in Irving. This is like an entire neighborhood filled with primarily what I'm going to assume is Muslim residents.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know much about the, Muslim culture, just enough to be dangerous, I guess, but is this a mosque? I don't know.
It says Salam.
Salam. It's a building that is kind of a standalone. Obviously, it's being used for something within this community. I'd love to know what it is.
Okay, we just passed a sign for a city councilman, Abdul Kabir. So he is campaigning in this neighborhood here.
Very American sounding name.
Okay, we're going down Amal Saleh Drive. I think that is the name of one of our founding fathers here in the United States of America.
Good old Amal? What was it?
Good old Ali Akbar.
Good old Ali Akbar.
Abdul Kabir.
Yep.
All right, so again, okay, we're going down Mahmoud Igal Way Drive. Apologies, let me be correct here. Mahmoud Igal Drive is the next street that we are going down. And entire neighborhood. I was not expecting this because most of the streets in Dallas are overly patriotically named. It's like Independence Parkway, Eagle Screech Lane, and now we're on Ali Akbar Way.
Just a few streets over, just a few neighborhoods over, we passed a Beaver Lane. So somewhere along the way,
we went from Beaver to Akbar.
Real quick.
It's just crazy though, Sarah, because I feel like everyone is kind of freaking out about Epic City, but it kind of seems like there are already fully Muslim-centric neighborhoods out here in North Texas.
Yes, and that's what I have been trying to tell people is if you think that Epic City is new, it's not. They have already been, infiltrating in these communities, and it's kind of like a wink-wink, nudge-nudge. Okay, we might not tell everyone that we're Muslim communities, all Muslim communities, but we're just going to build out and name our streets Allahu Akbar and wonder who shows up to them.
Okay, so it isn't just the Indian population that has surged in this area. Of course, it is also the Muslim population, and many Texans have been highlighting the amount of mosques that have been popping up. So we're actually going to go to, of course, Epic Mosque, which has been, a big point of contention here in Texas. We're going to go check that out. We're going to go check out some other mosques as well, and again, keep highlighting this demographic change that we're seeing. Epic Mosque has become infamous in Texas after not only becoming the focal point of the growing Muslim population in North Texas, but also after they announced their plans to build a 400-acre Muslim-centric city with over 1,000 homes, a new mosque, and Islam-based K-12 schools. There was actually a protest planned against the proposed city, so we went to go talk to concerned Texans to see what was going on.
Well, they were supposed to have a meeting about the Epic, basically development, and our Attorney General put a temporary restraining order out yesterday, and we were told they were still going to have the meeting, possibly public comments, but now we're being told that we've got a couple of minutes and we have to be off property, that the meeting's been canceled.
Really?
Yes.
We're here to talk about the Epic City that they're trying to build, and we are firmly against it because this is America, and we already have enough cities in Texas. They need to assimilate and live in the cities that already exist. We have a water issue in Texas, and we don't need to build more cities when there is a current water crisis going on and import more people here. We need to be conserving our natural resources. A lot of people are making this into a freedom of religion issue, but they have freedom of religion. I mean, look at the church. They have Sharia financing. They're able to practice their religion. This city is just another nuisance, and they're just trying to infiltrate.
All these houses in this whole area, all these big nice houses, are owned by Muslims that live here in the center and go to this mosque. About an hour ago, they were
all that sweet federal and state tax money.
Now you can see, people coming out.
We all know the true motivation behind Islam and what they're trying to do. They want to take over. I mean, I've heard plenty of video inside of that church that talk about how they want to take over our government and they want to take over Texas.
They need to assimilate to our values.
They won't. That's all there is to it, just about. Well, that's the bottom line. All right. Well, that does it for me. We're at the top of the hour here. I think Miss Vicky's here. How you doing? Hello.
Hey, how you doing, hon?
Doing quite good. How you been?
Good.
Thank you for stepping in to pick up. I appreciate that.
Oh, no worries. No worries. That's what it's about.
Cool.
So, yeah, everything's good.
Good. Cool. Well, yeah. I will let you get to it then.
All right, darling. Have a good evening.
I will. Yeah, you too. See ya.
All right. Bye now.
Bye.
Hi, guys.
All right. That's it, YouTube. I'm done. I got nothing else. I got work to do. So I'm out. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning, Friday morning. Bye-bye.